Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of Back in Tunes. This week we'll be covering Astro Boy and GoBots. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm the co-host, Jacob, or practically, sidekick. Let's not focus on titles at the moment.
Sidekick? You're not my sidekick. You're my partner in crime.
Okay, that works too.
Didn't we discuss this before? We're gonna ditch the sidekick thing. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is kind of a bad thing. Sidekicks always get killed anyway and replaced by someone worse, unless you're Robin. Then they just all for some reason still seem to be alive, no matter what.
Well, yeah, you're right there. Especially if Ra's al Ghul's involved. But anyway,
All right, so we're gonna start off with Astro Boy. The reason we picked Astro Boy and GoBots is we kind of noticed this year is filled with robot movies. Like a lot of robot movies. Just off by hand, we have Chappie that just came out. We have Ex Machina coming out, or Ex Machina. The new Terminator's coming out. I'm pretty sure there's a couple more coming out. It feels like a heavy dose of robots this year.
yes, I know. There's a robot, I can't remember the name of it. But I think something's getting a big anniversary soon.
Yeah, I don't
know. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember.
But
anyway,
so,
I will say that I want to say this about Chappie. I think it reminds me of a more mature, dark version of Short Circuit, minus Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah, and then adding in what's that band? What is that band? They're that weird German band, or maybe no, actually they're South African. You know, the ones that Die Antwoord.
Oh, yes.
So that's odd. I think I'd rather take the Goot.
I'm sorry. It's like I prefer Gutenberg.
Okay, so basically we're going to start off with Astro Boy. Now, there's quite a few series in the whole franchise, so we're going to skip the obvious. We're going to skip the 60s one. We'll discuss it, but there's a specific reason why we chose the 80s version. And we kind of cover retro cartoons, something that's at least 20 years old. Of course, eventually we're going to run out of old cartoons, and we're going to have to find something new to talk about. And two, we both found the 60s series a little too cheesy. That's going to make a lot of people immediately stop this episode. But here's how. A lot of cartoons are classics, but a lot of them don't date well. You know, it's a product of their time. I mean, even Johnny Quest we watched last week, and a part of us loves the fact that it was even created, and it was of its time. It's groundbreaking. It was a trend-setting cartoon, but I was more entertained by the 90s series.
Right, and I think the first episode was about fighting lizard people, and it seemed kind of more along the line of fantasy rather than, science fiction.
Right.
And reasonable and logical, explanations.
So what we're going to do is the first episode of the 80s Astro Boy is up on YouTube. We're going to play it and chit-chat through that. If you want to find it now, go ahead and press play.
Right.
I'm assuming you have yours up and ready.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
I want to say this about Astro Boy. I mean, when you look at him, like the way his hair is all pointed, it kind of reminds me of Elvis.
I actually knew a kid that had hair just like his. It was very strange. I don't know how he got the back part to stick out like that. The top, I understand.
But looking back at it, it does remind. I think this is where Ace Ventura got its influence.
Oh yeah. He's got kind of the ducktail going on with the faux hawk.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how many cartoons were actually inspired, or not cartoons, people were inspired by his hairdo. At least wait, did he just blast out of his butt? Did he just shoot out of his... Yeah, I thought I saw that earlier and I wasn't completely paying attention. He does shoot out of his butt. That's a crazy idea. Ooh, it's like killer laser poop.
I know. I mean, but honestly, he's a robot, so, as far as pooping goes, he can't do it because, he is a robot. He can't ingest. He's full automaton. But with the mind of a child.
So I'm going to go ahead and admit, we've discussed this before, but there's a lot of cartoons, especially international cartoons, I was not raised on because we didn't get them in Indiana. Unless they were connected to a toy line, nobody there aired them. So I never got to see Voltron. I never got to see... Okay, Voltron was connected to a toy line, but not a massive toy line. I never got to see Gundam. I never got to see Robotech, Astro
Oh
Boy.
man.
I've never even I have no experience with Astro Boy whatsoever until the 2009 movie came out, and I caught some cartoons here and there. But to be honest with you, this is the first time I've actually seen the '80s series. I had only ever seen the more recent ones, the 2003 and 2009 series, I believe.
Well, I mean, my dad. Honestly, I think knowing when the original series came out, I mean, like my dad had to have grown up with this. I mean, this probably was on. I mean, it had. It did have an American audience. I mean, it was directed by like American artists and art directors. Plus, it also there was a complete English audio track. So I'm thinking it had to have gotten enough popularity in Japan and went overseas.
Right. So I have a funny story to tell you about the movie. It rained. Sorry, I didn't mean rained. It was snowing in Portland. Now it does snow here and there, like a dusting, but it snowed about 4 or 5 inches, and people lost their minds. They act like it was the apocalypse. I've never seen so much traffic, people hiding in their house, fear of their lives. Places would shut down over just a few inches of snow. Like I said, I grew up in Indiana, and that's like that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. I mean, we walked to school in that with no problem whatsoever. And the whole town shut down except for the movie theater. And I was like, well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well go see a movie. What's playing? Astro Boy. Why not? It's only a $2 theater. So I walked over. I am the only person in this theater. And not only did I enjoy the fact that I was by myself, it was a really good movie. And I was just really upset that it bombed.
I know. I mean, like I said, to me, what really matters is critical reception, not box office. I mean, that's what film's supposed to be about, really.
Or fan reception. Because sometimes critics are a little too snooty for their own good.
I know, honestly, and sometimes fans, especially the hardcore fanboys, they tend to kind of annoy me.
They strangle the freedom of a character sometimes.
I know. Now, I do want to say the character design here, looking at the father, he looks like a rooster. I know, and here he is. Here's his son. Give him an idea. A child robot? Oh my gosh, that could work. And they're always. I mean, I'm watching it with Japanese dialogue, so it's a much more intense.
I love his mustache and afro. It just has so much character. Actually, a lot of these have really wild character designs. I mean, look at that goatee. That's insane. That guy actually, yeah, he looks like a rooster.
I know. I mean, plus his face. Oh, it's like, oh, hey, Dad. It's like, I didn't mean to yell at you, kid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's weird.
Sorry.
It's like they designed every single character, like even their facial hair, the hair on their heads, their clothes have so much character. They put a lot of care into these.
Oh, I know. I mean, just like character design, everybody themselves has their own unique shape.
This reminds me of some other cartoon that we've watched. I wonder who the designer is on this, because it looks very familiar.
Mm-hmm. I know. Plus, this is supposed to be the year 2000, or at least in the original cartoon, yes. However, we don't have any flying cars. We don't have anything as cool as this.
No.
Like it's a cleaner and polished version of Blade Runner.
Yeah, and now it's slow and depressing. I am not a huge fan of Blade Runner. I know people worship the ground that walks on, but I've always fallen asleep. Just like, it looks beautiful, but boring.
How old is this child? He's driving.
Well, in the future, maybe they have
future. A kid cannot possibly drive in a future. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh.
The funny thing is, Astro Boy has gone on.
Horrible.
So he's originally called Mighty Atom, but they changed it for Astro Boy when it came to America. It's amazing how long this character has lasted, yet for some reason it just really never took off in America. So, the movie, Imagi produced it and Summit released it. Now, it didn't really hurt Summit because they only paid like a licensing fee, 50% or less. Yeah. But Imagi went out of business, and that's horribly depressing.
No, it is. Plus, look at him. He's adorable. An adorable child who happens to be a reckless driver. Of course, he shouldn't have been driving in the first place.
No, I don't recall. I thought the robot did all the work.
Yeah. Oh, no, listen to his wish. Oh. This is such a sad moment, too. I mean, this is really horrible. Gosh, a little kid on his deathbed.
Yeah, you know what? That took a lot of guts to kill off the kid. That's something that I'm stunned that was even allowed back then.
I know. I mean, heck, even in 1963. Oh.
Okay, so you're talking about the '60s series and why you couldn't get into it. What did you feel?
Like, for me, I mean, it just seemed kind of, a bit goofy, I guess, because of the dialogue and the way, how animated movies were treated back then.
You're right. In the '60s, they're of their time. Hardly anything really stands up without some sort of level of, oh, that's retro, or that's cheesy. Dirty Dozen holds up. Magnificent Seven holds up. But there's things like the
Wild Bunch.
Okay, the James Bond movies, they're amazing. I love watching them, but they're obviously a product of their time. They reek of the '60s, and that's what we love about them.
Yep. Nostalgia. Here, the father seems like less of an obvious mad scientist than he did in 1963. In 1963, he was like, contemplating, like, now that his son was dead and taken away from him. All of a sudden, he's like, yes, I'll create him into a robot. Yes.
All right, so the main director on this. Oh, go ahead.
I'm like, this is a guy who cannot, appreciate or like. I mean, yeah, we get it. You love your son, but you're going insane. Here, it's more of a subtle insanity. Like, he's really dedicated to, bringing his son back to life in robotic form.
It's out of that desperation, that depression and sadness that makes you do something. That's not a new idea. They may have been the originators of that concept, but we've seen it a ton of times in movies where it's like a Frankenstein effect, where they just can't stand the loss of a loved one, so they go to extreme measures to bring them back, and it usually goes awry. Pet Sematary, anybody?
Oh, yes.
All right, so the production company that did Astro Boy, Tezuka Productions, I really wish I knew more anime, but I'm trying to even recognize a single title that they were responsible for here. But yeah, they just basically did Astro Boy. The director of this, he did Spaceship Yamamoto. I don't recognize any of these. I really wish I was more educated in this kind of stuff. There's probably someone that knows anime like the back of their hand.
Oh, I know plenty of people like that. But for me, really, anime, as far as it went, was like, Hayao Miyazaki, or something, Astro Boy, Gundam, Dragon Ball Z. Oh, gosh. Evangelion, mainly to do with giant robots.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, the only thing I ever watched, I don't know if you and I had this discussion already, but it was Appleseed. I discovered Appleseed in college, and that was the first thing I ever saw of that style, and I was just blown away by it. But then there was other stuff that friends would show me. What's the dirty one again called? The dirty anime? Is it hentai or something?
Hentai?
Yeah, that's horrifying. I don't think I could ever sit through that again. That was the kind of stuff that, like, 15 minutes into it, I was like, nope, we're good. I don't want to watch anymore.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's messed
really
up.
weird.
Ugh.
Ninja Scroll and Ninja Resurrection, I think, were ones I like to watch, too. And there was also, like, an animated version, like, based off of the Magnificent Seven.
Oh, that's cool. Well, wait.
No, not Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven is
No,
based
Seven
on
Samurai.
Seven Samurai, yeah. Wait, what was the
That's
cartoon
right.
again?
Samurai... Oh, gosh.
Samurai
I know
7,
it's on.
right?
I know it's on.
I feel like I
Yeah.
watched that. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I want to say here, the musical number they use here was the same number that they used in the original cartoon when they were creating Astro Boy when he was bringing him to life. I keep forgetting this, operatic piece, whatever it's called, but it's used in almost every other epic build-up moment in cinematic history.
Well, let me listen to it.
Push the button.
Oh, yeah. From 2001. That's what it's from. Or I think it's from 2001.
Yes, yeah, Space Odyssey.
Maybe
Now, here
he repurposed that too.
Yeah, and I'm bringing, just like having that glow just be green or having him glow as he's coming to life was like pretty much a tribute to Frankenstein's creation.
Yeah.
Now he's slowly getting up.
Do you say manga or manga?
Manga.
Manga? Have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
I don't know.
So yeah, this is originally based on the manga. It ran for a really long time for me not to even hear about it. It ran from 51 to 68, and then it would go on to like miniseries and repeated series. I remember Now Comics ran a run of it for a little while, but now comics always struggled. They always licensed comics, and they ran out of business pretty quickly. Mostly
Okay, with
known for
Astro
doing
Boy?
Ghostbusters. What's that?
Right. I said with Astro Boy, when he's born, it's okay to drop him. He's a robot. He won't feel any pain. Unless it's like a, wrecking ball hitting him in the head. That would probably destroy him. Oh. Oh, this is such a sweet, sentimental moment. But, okay, so in the original cartoon, when he's like bringing him to life, the years go by, he's got his son back, but at the same time, it was very irrational and just very ridiculous how he was handling, him not growing up or getting taller.
Yeah.
Because he's a robot, he's not organic. I know, it was just like quite silly. I'm like, oh my gosh, do these people know anything of science fiction?
Why does he never wear anything more than... He looks like the Submariner. Namor.
Pretty
He
much.
dresses like Namor. Okay, here he's wearing proper clothing, but it's funny, half the time he's just wearing skivvies.
Yeah. It's like his teeth are made of metal. He can't help it if he chews a fork.
Yeah.
And that's what he does with the food. He just takes it out of his system and just just zaps it.
It's incredibly adorable. He's the cutest damn cartoon character I've ever seen.
I know, yet he's also a living weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it's just strange how, it's displaying the relationship between man and machine. I mean, he is a robot, so I think what's revolutionary about him is that he's the first robot that's able to actually
Assimilate.
feel and think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking,
Assimilate human behavior.
because all the robots, they look like robots. Whenever they do stuff like that, have you ever seen a movie called Android? It's it's released by Roger Corman. It wasn't produced by Roger Corman. You ever heard of
I'll
that
have to
movie?
look in. Might remember it. I don't know.
The guys
But here, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, plus he's like fully synthetic. I mean, robot. I mean, in real life, I mean, I'm not even sure there's a way to, at least in our lifetime, have robots develop any kind of human notions or consciousness. It's always just logic and computation, and I mean, no understanding, no true understanding of anything.
Now, is this the original character you think that explored what it would be like to be human? The first robot, not to just be a robot?
Yeah.
It's kind of a cliche now because you see it all the time. But
Well,
I feel like
especially with,
Astro Boy was the first time that someone wanted to make a robot try to be human.
Well, yeah, especially given this situation right here, he wanted to bring his son back to life. So yes, and I think it would also contend with the whole concept of Mega Man, because that's what Mega Man is too. He's the first robot that can actually learn and develop and act like and think for itself rather than be programmed.
I think I like Mega Man a little bit better than Astro Boy. I don't know why. I mean, it's because
There should be a face-off.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be an awesome crossover. They face off and then decide to back each other up in battle.
Yeah, coolest team up ever.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, I know. I'm pretty sure fans. I mean, if Capcom ever decides to recreate Mega Man, at least have Astro Boy in as a special guest character or some kind of download, or have that be the plot. There's
Yeah.
temporal interference, and it crosses over between two worlds, and now they're off at each other's throats. Who knows?
No, the reason I brought up that movie Android is because it feels a lot of spiritually, it feels a lot like Astro Boy. It's just, what if Astro Boy was a grown-up and he no longer wanted to really understand the basics of human life? Now he wanted to understand romantic love. It's a pretty good movie.
Oh.
You can find it on YouTube. It's severely out of print, but the guys who created Critters, they did that movie first, and they did it for a shoestring budget, and it's a really touchy movie, even though it's really low budget. Okay, who is this?
It's Nuclear Man.
As
a child.
Oh my god, that's awful. That's awful. That's perfect though.
Well, then again, he's like the surfer. He's the Californian child.
Well, what's up,
I mean,
dude?
look at that blonde hair, tanned, brown. He looks like a little surfer boy.
Wow.
And now he's being called Atlas.
Makes sense.
The
That's
ruler of the earth.
It looks like his head's about to take off. It's so magnificently winged.
I know. It's like it's gonna just turn into wings. That's his motive. That's how he flies. He doesn't have rocket boots.
Maybe
He
his
has
head's a transformer.
Yeah. Oh look, a French maid.
He really does. Now that I think about Superman 4, yeah. That's funny.
And now he just completely melts it.
Well, I remember correctly, wasn't there an evil Mega Man?
Proto Man, yeah.
Proto Man, that's right.
There it is. I think the thing is with Astro Boy, he was implanted with this. As far as I know, why he is the way he is, because there's this prototype alpha chip, which is able to, make him think and act like a human. Oh god.
God, I love the design of the ships and weaponry in a lot of these movies, or a lot of these cartoons.
You kind of think this would have to be some kind of influence that Steven Spielberg had when he was coming up with the idea for AI.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh no. Now they're all debating. Oh wait. Yeah. Should I stay or should I go? Grab him with the claw. Nope. They pushed too many buttons. They pissed off the computer, and now the tank is going haywire. Why are they writing in a tank? Is that really necessary? Oh, geez, that's silly. So silly. But yes, anyway, that was the. So that's basically, Alpha, Omega. That's how it is between, Atlas and that relationship. And
what I love about mythology of comic books and cartoons, it seems like a lot of the great heroes, of course, it's a cliche, they're defined by their villains, but I love it when a hero will have the exact opposite, like Reverse Flash or Bizarro or Proto Man. And here he has Atlas. I love it when they have someone that's like very similar, but something twisted about it. So they seem similar in one fashion, but the exact opposites in another, like Venom and Spider-Man.
pretty much, yeah, I know. I like seeing that too. It's like that's probably how the hero would have been if they chose another path.
Right. One thing had gone wrong. One decision they had chosen differently would have changed who they are.
Yeah. It's like what they inherited from, their... Oh, jeez. People are getting burned a lot. Ow.
Yeah, that's like kind of a dark cartoon. Maybe that's why it never really took off in America. Bet you the Heartland, besides the fact that it's considered a foreign product.
Then conservatives
yeah,
they're too prudish. They're too prudish for anything. That's pretty much American culture. It's too prudy.
Yeah, well, no, I was just thinking the fact that it's really a lot of action that has huge risk. The cartoons we watched back then, like G.I. Joe, yes, there was explosions and stuff like that, but everybody escaped in a parachute, so there was no real consequence. What does that teach kids?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
There's probably more to learn from one episode of Astro Boy than a whole season of G.I. Joe when it comes to that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. That, and plus, he's just so cute. How could you dislike him? How can you not like him? And look at that. Uh-oh.
Has there ever been a toy line of Astro Boy? I don't recall anything.
Yes, my little brother actually had an action figure of Astro Boy. He had his arms would come off and he'd shoot his little glowing lasers and whatnot.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. There we are, the butt cannons. I guess it makes sense for rear protection, but that's taking it a little too far.
That's weird. Why didn't I just shoot him out of his knees? I don't know. I remember there was a He-Man character where he had guns on his knees, which I thought was insanely silly. Like he'd pop out his knee, like he was a robot, I think, and he'd take his kneecap out, and there was a gun there. It's the weirdest thing. Blast door or something like that.
Something silly. But I do want to. I wanted to say earlier, since we mentioned the Astro Boy movie. Of course, Freddie Highmore was Astro Boy, and Nicolas Cage was his dad. And after watching the 1960s cartoon and how he acted, I understand why the voice casting director chose Nicolas Cage.
Don't you wish he had gone a little more bonkers in the cartoon now?
Yeah, I kind of wish he did go a little crazy in the movie, like, like how he did in Vampire's Kiss. I can just imagine that right now. I'm going to create my son as a robot. Something like that. But yeah, no, now the dog's accepting that this is, not physically and, organically Tobio, but it is, he's accepting him, he's liking him, he's loving him. It's slowly, this robot's slowly growing on the dog. And now look, here's Atlas. Back to that. Look at that. Gosh, man. If his hair was green, he'd be an Oompa Loompa.
He should probably put on some sunblock. He's getting a little too robust there.
I know. It's like, why did he have to be so orange? You think this could be? Oh my gosh, this could be John Boehner's child. Yeah, no, because his creator is calling him Devil's Child or something like that in the original Japanese cartoon.
Really?
Is it because he's that evil?
That's weird.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
All right, so that's the end of Astro Boy. Basically, the rest of this is next on Astro Boy. So, yeah, that was fun. I think it takes me a little more. I think some more episodes for me to really get into this because there's some stuff that automatically I see and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this again. Astro Boy, it has a huge following for a reason. But it still seems kind of alien to me, like something I'm just not completely into yet. But I love the movie, so there's got to be something that I can find in the cartoons that I loved just the same.
Yeah, and when I watched the actual animated movie, I thought it really stayed true to to the core origin.
But you can feel there's a British company. Actually, I think the director is British. Chris Wedge, I think, is the director. I could be wrong about that. But there's a British feel to the humor. So yes, it has the Japanese action. Awesome action. But a lot of the humor is very British.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I'm watching like a toned down version of Monty Python and Benny Hill.
Yeah. The robots just kill me, though. They're so funny.
Minus the fast-forwarding motion, I would like to see Astro Boy do that or be in that kind of situation. That'd be cute. That'd be funny.
All right, so we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to have a little commercial break, and then we're going to come back with Challenge of the GoBots.
Yes.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Hey, nice shirt.
Gee, thanks.
Say, that's a nice coffee mug, too.
Well, I sure like it.
You want to clue me in on where you got them?
Sure thing. Just visit Jabetsco.com.
Swell. Hey, how do you spell that?
Why, it's GIMETZCO.com. Now, back to the show.
Alright, welcome back to Back in Toons. We just watched Astro Boy. Next, we're going to watch Challenge of the GoBots. Episode 1 is up on YouTube. Go ahead and hit play now.
There we go. Well, this is definitely a fun introduction.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. It's definitely of the 80s. There's so many horns, almost like a disco-y horn thing going on in the 80s. Like every cartoon had this huge, epic score.
Yeah, I did. Like trumpets sounding, battles.
I wouldn't be surprised if the guy who did the theme song for GoBots also did, what's that Wild World of... the one where they went to all over the country, National Geographic kind of thing? I can't remember. There was some show in the 80s where they always travel the world and show all these animals and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it now.
Jack Hanna's Animals Adventure, that I remember.
Maybe that, yeah. Alright, so...
Okay.
So are you at the opening where the spaceship, they're showing the outer space?
Yeah, I'm watching the Yeah, the beginning of the episode right now.
Okay, just
Yeah.
make sure, because I played the theme song, but you hadn't played it yet.
Okay, this woman. Okay, you can tell this woman's evil. Just listen to her laugh like that.
Oh, of course. That's one of the most hideous voices for a woman ever. Like, the second you hear it, you're like, oh, pure evil. Like, she makes Evil Lynn look like a nun.
Okay, I do want to say here, like, it's definitely like easily a Transformer setup, but the opposite. It's like the Autobots are in control and winning, and this guy just kind of being a douche and just wanting to be evil.
Yeah, GoBots actually existed before the Transformers, oddly enough. They started the whole robot transforming trend. Like,
Oh, wow.
I think about a year before Transformers took off, GoBots were the first to do it. And you could tell that GoBots were lower priced. I couldn't really afford Transformers. I had a couple of them, but for the most part, I had GoBots. And you can tell by their design, whoever they hired just did it kind of on the cheap. Because, and even in the animation, when they transform, guess what? They actually look like that. They had very obvious heads. There wasn't really any complication to the design. Whereas Transformers, the cartoon, the designs were fairly spot on, but there's some differences just to give the animators more to do. Giving them heads that actually moved around and stuff like that instead of being part of the front of the car. The articulation was better on Transformers, even though GoBots was first and kind of set up the whole that kind of cartoon and toy line. Transformers is far superior.
That guy kind of sounds like Adam West, Guardian 1, the leader.
Yeah, I'm going to look up the voice actors here in a little bit, but I remember my very first GoBot I actually got at Wendy's. They had a deal where, you bought the Happy Meal or whatever, and you got a GoBot with it. And I got a few of those, but then I discovered Transformers, and I was like, oh, no, these are amazing. But, of course, Transformers broke easy, too, if you transformed them too aggressively, and it went wrong.
Yeah, I know, they could snap and break in half. I think... No, actually, no, I never had that problem, because I guess the joints could be inserted back in easily. So, thankfully, being a child of the 90s, I had simpler solutions.
GoBots... they
and,
were... Go ahead.
I will say, this villain... I want to say this main villain does not look as menacing as, Megatron does.
Oh, no. All the character designs are pretty weak. I wish I could stop saying It's driving me nuts. The thing about... I think the difference is the fact that it's an American cartoon. Hanna-Barbera is involved in this one, so it has their whole style. They weren't known for keen design during the 80s. They had clever cartoons, and they're pretty entertaining. So I'm not going to say this is boring in any way whatsoever. But Transformers, they had great design, great voice actors, and the storylines, it built a universe. Really, like, the mythology of Transformers was so much stronger than GoBots.
That and, Transformers got, 4 movie deals?
You're talking live action, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, is the company Tonka that created GoBots, they went out of business, and then Hasbro bought them, and knowing that it's a competing line, they basically buried the GoBots. In fact, you couldn't even find the cartoon forever, and until just recently where they started doing, I think Warner Archive does them. But there was a line for a very short period of time in the mid-90s. It was Transformers, but it was called the GoBots, where it was like the characters that we know and love in Transformers, like Bumblebee and stuff. But it was simpler designs, and I think they were like, you pull back on them and they go. So yeah, technically they had the name GoBots, but they don't own the toy design.
No, they don't. That always has to go to someone else. Therefore, they cannot do anything. But I do want to say, earlier when Scooter said the captain, the Federation leader, I guess them shooting lasers at us doesn't means that they won't give up. Like, congratulations, Scooter. You've been promoted to Captain Obvious.
Yeah, I cannot stand that character. I can't stand that voice. There's only a couple characters. I think it was Frank Welker that did that voice. But he would do it in the Punky Brewster cartoon or Bungie, and I would love it when they talk like this. And for some reason, GoBots, I just want to strangle that character. Just choke him out.
Yeah, he does. He seems like a bit of a goofball. I mean, just earlier, he's just like when it came to taking out the evil GoBots, the bad guys.
Right.
He just said, pretty much like, tonight I'm being a little hasty. Like, how much did should just backhand him and say, like, don't question me. We got to get this done now. Nip it in the butt before it becomes an epidemic. You don't get it, Scooter.
So the company that created this is Bandai. It was called Machine Robo.
Bandai?
Yeah, they called it Machine Robo in Japan, but then when Tonka licensed it, that's when they changed the GoBots. But, like I said, they didn't own the designs. They only owned the distribution rights and the ability to turn it into a cartoon and movies.
Yes. Oh, okay.
I went and saw the movie, Battle of the Rock Lords. It came out like a year after the cartoon ended, and it was awful. At the time, I thought it was okay, but I tried watching it again recently, and oh, it hurts so bad. The Transformers movie is so awesome. The GoBots movie hurts. It hurts inside. And I remember asking my father to take me to this, and he, to this day, well, to whatever day I last spoke to him, he said it was just god-awful crap, and he always remembers it just being truly hideous garbage. And we almost didn't go and watch the Masters of the Universe movie, the Dolph Lundgren one.
Yeah.
Because of GoBots.
I will say this about, experiences like that, seeing something as a kid, and you were just absolutely ecstatic. I saw Power Rangers Turbo. I thought it was the most awesome thing ever. And then now, watching it browsing through the channels, just watching a few minutes of it,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh gosh, why did I like this so much?
Did you like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie? You know, the one.
The one before that?
Yeah, the one like 3 years before that.
Oh, as a kid, oh god, I loved it.
I remember thinking it wasn't too bad, but I never saw Turbo. What you think they're ever gonna reboot that? The Power Rangers is more serious. You've watched that short film, right?
I did, and I'm sorry. It's just I could not take it seriously. I'm just like I could not be affected by it. I thought they tried a little too hard in so many areas, and I just couldn't help but be like, what am I watching? Really? Power Rangers? They can't be taken seriously. Come on, Machine Empire. Sheesh. And then Rita, showing up at the end all horned and evil. I'm like, oh gosh. And then, Jason David Frank, gave his input on it. Thought it wasn't that good, and considering how dark and brutal it was, and just how crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of agree with him that, and I thought it was just dumb. Especially with Zach, being the. I just can't help but think it was just all stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting off track here.
So GoBots, the funny thing is Transformers, the comic book was very well known. It was massive success over in the UK, and it did really well here. It made it to 75 issues before it ended, and then it would it would come back every couple of years with a new limited series or a short run series. But the GoBots, they never had a comic book, which it really surprises me. There was a British strip, like it was in the Sunday papers, but that's not the same.
Right.
I didn't know this, that Hasbro renewed their contract for distribution of motion pictures and television programs with that name.
Oh.
I wonder if they're going to bring it into GoBots into Transformers. Eventually
Yeah,
Transformers movie is going to wear out. There's not a whole lot more to explore, at least not within the known mythology. They're going to have to make up stuff.
Especially with Michael Bay at the helm.
Oh, please, someone else step in. The one with Mark Wahlberg actually wasn't that bad. I wasn't that miserable. It's really the second one that just made me so mad. But it is time for someone else to come in and make a Transformers movie that's under 2 hours. Seriously, why do we need why are they so long?
Yeah, that, and Shia LaBeouf actually regrets doing those movies.
Well, I'm sure he regrets a lot of things, but he's refusing to admit to his most recent
But
actions.
Right, yes. But as far as acting goes, yes, he just was not, he's just annoyed by the whole thing, especially looking back on, being the kind of character that he portrayed was just, ridiculous and dumb and just nothing but frat boy humor. And also, as far as it goes for a Transformers movie, it's Steven Spielberg, if they don't reboot Indiana Jones anytime soon, could you please take over? You're a producer.
Or find someone else that can handle special effects. How about I'm trying to think of someone who did Mouse Hunt. He did the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Gore Verbinski?
Yeah, I mean, he used to work for Spielberg, so why don't they bring him in?
That would be a pretty good idea. Gore Verbinski also I think they're going to be doing another Pirates movie that's going to be coming out next year, Part 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like that needs to go too. But it's Johnny Depp, and everybody still loves Johnny Depp. He's still relevant to everybody.
Does he? Because I've been watching his movies lately. Tank.
Like Mordecai. Yes, I heard it was bad.
All right,
so
one thing I should say is significant about GoBots is that the main director, the supervisor of all of this, is a legend, Ray Patterson. Ray Patterson was in the industry for so long that he actually basically was there at the very beginning of animation. He worked on the old Crazy Cat cartoons. He worked for Disney. He worked on Dumbo, Fantasia, the Pluto shorts. And, he went to MGM. He did a bunch of cartoons there. And then, of course, the theatrical animation started to die off. So he started doing television. But it's just amazing that he was there at the very early stages of animation and took it straight into the 80s. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a big name like that, at the helm of your cartoons, you got to have faith in it.
I mean, yeah, Hanna-Barbera, those aren't names you sneeze at, but to have someone actually in there every day working on it, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you know that Phil Hartman did voice work for this cartoon?
Who'd he play?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say on IMDb. Or on Wikipedia. I have to look it up. But I keep seeing his name pop up in cartoons around this time, so that must be how he paid his way before Saturday Night Live came along.
Probably, yeah, he was doing, and of course, let's not forget Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, of course not. Well, that's the Groundlings is where he started at, and I guess he would just supplement with voice work. Okay, so what we have here, we have Frank Welker, of course, he's Scooter, Blaster, and a bunch of other characters. Renee Auberjonis, who was from Star Trek. I mostly know him from Benson. He did Dr. Braxis. I knew that was his voice. Peter Cullen. We all know who Peter Cullen is. He actually did voices for this, so he was actually playing both sides of the robot field.
That's pretty cool. But as far as I can tell, I mean, I recognize Frank Welker. I mean, Frank Welker's he's still doing stuff to this day.
Right, like 90% of the cartoons that we cover have him in there.
Oh, I know, and like some of the games that I'm playing too, it's like I can hear his voice. Like he'll be the voice. I think he's also the voice of Bane in Injustice, and some of the other animated movies. I could be wrong. No, I'm thinking of Fred Tatasciore. I am completely wrong. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
It's okay.
But Frank Welker, where else have I heard? What else was he in besides this?
I'd have to look at it. Give me a sec. I'm trying to find someone else's voice. Okay, so
I think he was pretty sure he was in Beast Wars.
Here's the thing: is I was so certain that Sidekill was voiced by what's the Dean from Animal House? You're fat, lazy, and stupid.
Dean Vernon?
Yeah, I thought that was him. I so thought that was him, and I looked it up. It's not, and I was just like, "That, wow." I guess that completely wrong. Frank Welker is mostly known for doing Fred Jones on Scooby-Doo, Megatron, Transformers, Jabberjaw, Inspector Gadget. He did Dr. Claw. Dr. Claw. That's the worst voice I've ever.
Inspector Gadget.
That hurts. I don't know how he does these voices. That actually sucked a little bit doing that.
Lots of water, lots of fluids, and on it. It really helps. Put the lotion in the basket.
Okay.
That got weird. That got weird. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, yes, now I remember. Okay, yes, Scooby-Doo, and Iceman in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so Challenge of the GoBots, it lasted 1 year, and I don't know. It hasn't aged exactly well. It aged better than the movie did. That movie just hurts inside. The funny thing is, they actually got people to show up for the movie. I remember Margot Kidder was there, Roddy McDowall, who I worship the ground that he walks on, or did walk on.
Oh, yes. May he rest in peace, Roddy McDowall. Planet of the Apes legend.
I mostly knew him for Fright Night, but then I discovered Planet of the Apes soon afterwards. But he would pop in and out of all these cool TV shows, though a lot of them look back on, they say, are kind of cheesy. But, he did some voice work here and there. But, okay, so we have, I'm looking at the movie, Margot Kidder, Telly Savalas, Roddy McDowall, Michael Norrie. Michael Norrie was a name at the time. He's not really a name now, but He was the villain in the very first Flash episode, the old Flash from the 90s.
From the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. Just like Mark Hamill was the trickster. And he's gonna be reprising his role.
I know, right? Okay, is it me? Did I read it wrong? Oh crap! I hate when I have amnesia. It makes it seem so stupid. Smallville. Tom Welling, is he coming back as Superman on the Flash?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's even going to be coming back in a Supergirl either. We'll have to wait and see. But I do want to say, I mean, how come in every cartoon that security guards always have to be dumb?
Yeah, maybe it's because they're security guards. They weren't good enough to be cops. I don't know.
And it's like, have you seen any robots around? And then Scooter clearly, gives himself away. How very funny. And then the guy's just like, what?
The catalog for a lot of these movies is kind of lost. There's a company called Atlantic. They didn't really have a whole lot of hits. I think Valley Girl was their big first, they're someone to contend with. They had Teen Wolf and a couple others. But they did a bunch of animated movies, and they released them under Clubhouse Pictures. And to this day, I still remember the logo of the tree popping up. And they did The Smurfs and the Magic Flute, which I've seen so many times. Right. It's ridiculous. The He-Man and She-Ra movie, Here Comes the Littles, The Adventures of Mark Twain, which is claymation. Will Vinton did it. It's kind of twisted. And, The Adventures of American Rabbit. Okay, so I had a book for Adventures of American Rabbit, but I never saw the movie. It just didn't come anywhere near where we lived. And Heathcliff the movie, and then, of course, capping it all off was GoBots.
Right. But I just wanted to say something about this. Basically, the NASA director, he... turns out he's siding with, the renegade bots, and he sounds like he's singing almost all this dialogue. Here you go, Psycho! I'm like,
that's right. Yeah. He's basically a Paul Lynde. Hello, Paul Lynde here.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, I guess they're also trying to set the standard for, certain villains like that to, always have to sing their dialogue. I mean, heck, Elvis was able to do it. Well, at least he should have, because, he wasn't that good of an actor. I mean, he is the king of rock and roll, but come on.
I know.
But yeah,
some people, I love Elvis, but yeah, he was not exactly the best actor. But his movies are fun.
But yeah. Oh, of course, yes. But now, okay, and then as you mentioned, Hanna-Barbera was behind this too. I mean, it was kind of hard to, for me, it was kind of hard to figure out. I mean, I had no idea, nor did I know of this cartoon. I mean, I strictly just knew Transformers. I thought it was by, the same animation studios as Transformers. But seeing how, if they were to work in GoBots with a modern film adaptation with Transformers, they'd have to at least have them make a Black Ops kind of, or Intel gathering division.
So I'm gonna have to admit,
kind of like Young Justice.
I accidentally closed mine, so I have no idea where we're at.
Oh, for me, the cartoon, it just ended.
Oh, it just ended? Okay, thank you. Because I accidentally, I shut it down. I was like, crap. And I'm just going to pretend like I know what's going on. Whoops.
That's all good.
All right,
yeah,
so...
they've got to be...
Go ahead.
Yeah, they've got to be some kind of tactical division, like with Young Justice. For the Justice League, and then there's Young Justice. It's like, that's what the GoBots could be.
Yeah, the GoBots are like, take this. Say the GoBots, because... Apparently, the GoBots exist in an alternate reality, an alternate world of the same universe. So say this. Say the GoBots, if they reconfigured the whole mythology, the GoBots are kind of like beginner robots. They're like the children robots of the Transformers. That's the only real way I can really think.
Like Tiny Toons.
Yeah, they're like the simpler versions, and maybe they are built, right? They're not born. How are Transformers created in the first place?
I know, it's pretty weird. It's like they were born in these little robots.
Do they have parents?
Delved into that. They never really delved into that into the movies either.
Do they have a machine that just has, it's time to make some more robots, and you just manufacture them, they put them in some sort of machine?
No, it's not like Aliens, where there's just one queen, and she's giving birth to these, facehugger eggs.
I don't know. I mean, they have proper emotions. They feel pain. They seem to be living metal.
Yeah.
Do they poop?
No, I don't know.
They burn it through exhaust, right? Yeah, the exhaust. Wow, I never even contemplated this before. How are they created? Why do they...
exhaust harmful? I'm wondering if their exhaust is harmful in the environment. Oh my gosh. Or maybe it purifies the environment.
Maybe
it's
the
'cause
planet.
they have
I can't believe we hit a dead stop with this. This is something I'm going to be
Why are we
contemplating for a while.
speculating?
So maybe the planet itself makes them. They just like it unearths them. Like it just barfs them out. Just bleh, bleh, and all of a sudden I don't know.
weird.
Wow, there has to be a
But now-
story. Someone
but
has
now-
to have thought of this.
Plus, as far as it goes, I mean, Cybertron was pretty much destroyed in Part 3. I don't even know why I'm not even sure how they were able to make a Part 4. That just seemed ridiculous. I mean, it's like, what, Cybertron's destroyed. You pretty much destroyed almost all the Transformer race. I mean, all that's left are, some are floating around in space colonies. But it's, oh gosh, the way they try to drag it out, it's just so thin.
Why is it seriously? Why are they 3.5 hour movies? Why? I just don't understand why Michael Bay tortures us so much with these movies. It's just like make them an hour and 45 minutes. Wrap it up.
I know, honestly, like if they do introduce GoBots in there, or come out with another Transformers movies, and take the idea of putting the GoBots as, like a little subdivision. Please, Michael Bay, like Kanye West, sit down. Shut up and sit down.
All right, so I think that's it for us here. Wow, we hit a moment where we just like really contemplate. If anybody knows the answer to how Transformers are created, please let us know. Because, I mean, do they have apartments? Where do they live? Do they have like apartments they live in, or do they just store themselves and just like shut
It's
down?
not like they reproduce like Gazoo does in Flintstones.
Do they have TV? Do Transformers have their own entertainment? Do they read books?
I know.
How does
Exactly,
this
it
work?
is.
What is
It's
their normal life
strange.
like?
There are these strange synthetic organisms.
Oh my god. I'm
It's
not
highly
going to
advanced.
sleep. I'm not going to sleep.
Well, if you have trouble with that, I can help you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for sitting through. Well, I don't know. That episode kind of fell apart, but for a good reason. Thank you, everybody, for all your support. I can't believe some of the episodes we've had lately. We are getting bigger numbers than I ever thought even possible. And I hope the trend continues. I hope we keep bringing what you want to listen to. If you have any comments, any suggestions for a better show, anything you want to add to the show, or even suggest a double feature, because that's what we're going to be doing now, just double features. If you have an idea, send it to us through our Facebook page, Retro Rocket Entertainment. We're also on retrorocketentertainment.weebly.com. You can find all of our podcasts. You can find our email. Just let us know how we're doing. We love you guys. And be excellent to each other. This is Michael signing off.
This is Jacob. Be sure to tip your waitress. Namaste and good luck.
Good night.